Hey friends, quick note, all of the footage in this review comes from the first 10 hours or so of the game. I want to keep things spoiler free and respectful for those who haven't played it yet. If you enjoyed this content, please consider liking, sharing a thought in your comments, and spreading the video around. It really does help the channel grow. And I really do appreciate everything and all the love from the last video, so thank you guys so much. And now, let's get into it. When the original Death Stranding came out, I'll be honest, I didn't like it. I mentioned that in my first review, the gameplay just didn't click with me, and I quickly set it aside in favor of other games. I thought it was weird, slow, and a little too out there. But then Death Stranding 2 was announced at the Game Awards, and something about that trailer grabbed me. I was intrigued. Who were these characters? What had happened in this world that justified a sequel? It left me with so many questions, and I genuinely wanted answers. Knowing the second game was coming soon, I decided to go back and give the first one another chance, to really sit with it and try to understand why it resonated with so many people. You could check out my full thoughts in my previous video, but to sum it up, I ended up loving it, way more than I expected. The world building, the cast of characters, the incredible music, and the emotional message about connection. It all just hit different. By the end of that experience, I understood why Death Stranding had such a passionate fan base. I finally saw what Kojima was trying to say. I saw the light. So, naturally, when I jumped into Death Stranding 2 shortly after finishing the first, my expectations were high. I was hoping for something even more impactful. A home run that built on everything I had come to appreciate. And to be fair, in many ways, it delivers. It's bigger, more refined, and full of smart additions. On paper, this is a better game in almost every category. The world is more expansive and detailed. There are more tools, vehicles, and gameplay options. Combat is more varied and flexible. Missions are richer with choice. And traversal has been fine-tuned to feel even smoother. It's clear the team took everything they learned from the first game and built something more polished and player-friendly. But the question for me is Death Stranding 2 a better game overall? It's not easy to answer. Technically, yes. It improves on nearly every system and offers more content. But emotionally, something was missing for me. The original game had a novelty to it, something raw and surprising. The first walk through the rain-soaked post-apocalyptic landscape felt profound. It was a one-of-a-kind experience that caught me off guard and stuck with me long after I stopped playing. There was a freshness to the world, a sense of mystery and isolation that gave it real weight. Death Stranding 2 continues that vision, but it no longer has that element of surprise. I knew what I was stepping into this time. And while the sequel delivers more in nearly every measurable way, it didn't hit me as hard as the first journey did. The magic wasn't gone, but it wasn't as sharp or emotionally potent the second time around. Let me explain. Alright, let's dive into performance and graphics first. Now, my setup might be a bit different than what most of you will experience, and I wanted to address some technical issues I ran into. For some reason, my Elgato capture card gave me some trouble. While it was showing a 1440p 120Hz capture, it certainly didn't feel that way. I had to restart both my Elgato and my PS5 multiple times to get everything working properly. I'm sure most of you won't run into this issue, but I just wanted to give a heads up about the hiccups I encountered during my playthrough. Once I got things running smoothly, which took me a little bit, the performance was absolutely stellar. When the game ran at 60 FPS, it was a buttery smooth experience. I opt to play in the frame rate mode because I prioritize higher frame rates, and it didn't disappoint. The smoothness just made everything feel so more immersive, especially in the more intense moments of the game. Now, let's talk about graphics. Honestly, when I first laid eyes on the game, my immediate reaction was, these graphics are unreal. Like, I wrote in my notes, like, that was one of the, honestly, it was just one of those opening scenes that just blew me away. The Decima engine is a sight to behold. It's clear this engine has been pushed to its limits, and it's truly a testament to what can be accomplished when you develop a game using a single, robust engine. The mountain vistas in the opening sequences of the game left me completely speechless. I found myself unable to form words. It was just that beautiful. There were moments when I stopped and stared at the landscape and thought to myself, this is what games are capable of now. It was jaw-dropping. The fact that this is running on a PS5 base, it made it all the more impressive. I kept thinking, is this really running on the standard console hardware? The level of detail, the draw distance, the sheer beauty of the world, it felt like a completely next-gen experience. To say I was surprised would be an understatement, but graphics are only part of the equation. What about the feel of the world itself? The game expands significantly in terms of locations, and it's a real treat for the eyes. Just like in the first game, you'll go from snowy mountain terrains to harsh dry deserts, and everything in between. It's this diverse environmental storytelling that makes the world feel so alive. The rain in the game is one of the standouts for me. Every drop feels weighty, and when the light from your flashlight glistens over the wet surfaces, it creates a realistic, immersive atmosphere. These little touches really bring the environment to life, and the attention to detail is impeccable. Overall, in terms of performance and graphics, Death Stranding 2 delivers a massive upgrade from the first game. The team clearly has a firm grasp on the Decima engine, and it shows in every stunning visual and smooth gameplay moment. The world building is exceptional, and I truly appreciate how they expand on the foundation laid by the first game. I can only imagine what this team will accomplish in their next project, and honestly, I can't wait to see it. The future looks incredibly bright for them. Before I go diving into the story, let me just say, no spoilers here. But if you want to go in completely blind, I highly recommend pausing this video and coming back once you finish the game. There's a lot to unpack in Death Stranding 2. And while it takes its time getting there, the payoff is absolutely worth it. What I want to do here is to give a spoiler-free thesis on what this game is doing narratively and how it compares to the first game. So, years after the events of Death Stranding, we return to the role of Sam Porter Bridges, accompanied once again by his BB Lou. Sam, no longer working with Bridges, living instead in relative isolation, but due to story circumstances I won't spoil, he finds himself drawn back into the role of a porter, the time working with a new organization aiming to reconnect scattered communities. Sam's motivation for returning is both compelling and emotionally grounded. It makes sense, and I was fully on board with the premise. His reasons, along with the struggles he faces, feel genuine and carry the weight of monumental challenges. However, once the powerful opening settles and the game begins in earnest, the narrative starts to feel oddly familiar, almost like a remix of the original early beats. While the setup is recontextualized, the core structure remains largely the same. Reconnect people, bring them into the network, deliver, repeat. The middle portion of the game, in particular, begins to suffer from this repetition, and for a time, I wondered whether the story would ever push beyond the well-worn path of its predecessor. However, I did miss one crucial thing from the original game: resistance. In Death Stranding 1, there were moments where people pushed back against the idea of connection. They were skeptical of bridges, wary of what connections might cost. That tension added nuance to the world. Here, in the sequel, nearly everyone is immediately willing to join the network. No questions asked. And while that makes for smoother progression, it also makes the world feel more sanitized, less layered. I missed that friction. It gave the first game's themes a sense of realism that's a little lacking here. The story really dips in the middle for me. Structurally, it becomes a bit of a retread. Connect this outpost, help this person, move on to the next. It's not bad, but it doesn't surprise or challenge you for a while. It becomes predictable. But then, the final third of the game hits. Like, hits. Let me say this, Kojima outdid himself. This is where the story goes full throttle into the strange, emotional, artistic, and deeply human territory he's known for. It's unpredictable. It's surreal, it's cinematic in the purest sense of the word. You have to experience it for yourself. And honestly, the final act made up for nearly every lull or moment of repetition that came before. This is Kojima unleashed. From set pieces to visual storytelling, to music selection and tonal shifts, it's all executed with his signature flair. The man knows how to build a moment, how to drop your jaw, and how to tie it all back to the game's core themes of connection, loss, and resilience. The cast this time around is equally impressive. Some familiar faces are gone, but the new additions absolutely deliver. Each character feels like they belong in this strange, fractured world. They have soul, purpose, and unique perspectives that add to the overall emotional texture of the game. Two characters in particular that stood out to me was, first, Dollman. At first I wasn't sure what to make of it. He's odd, unsettling even, but the more time I spend with him, the more I appreciate his backstory, his philosophy, and his place in the narrative.
Really, Sam? There's such a thing as too tight. Oh, that must have been quite the nightmare. I can't feel my legs.
By the end, I was genuinely thankful for his presence. Second, let's talk about Higgs, or more accurately, Second Higgs. And let me be clear and upfront. Troy Baker absolutely deserves an award for his performance here. This isn't just a good performance, it's phenomenal. He completely disappears into the role, bringing Higgs back with a terrifying intensity that somehow feels even more unhinged, more complex, and more captivating than before. This is how you do a villain right, and this is what happens when you give a talented actor the space to fully explore a character's depth and darkness. So how do I feel about the story overall? It's a bit of a mixed bag, but it's a bag worth opening. While the early and mid-game feel too familiar, and at times uninspired, the final third reminds you exactly why Death Stranding is unlike anything else in gaming. It's strange, intimate, existential, and cinematic. The story might not be consistently great, but when it peaks, it hits hard. I'd say the narrative is good, not perfect, but it's bold, it's heartfelt, and it's 100% Kojima. If you are someone who values unique storytelling in games, Death Stranding 2 absolutely deserves your time. If you saw my first video, you already know the core premise of Death Stranding, and it hasn't changed. Pick up a package at point A and deliver it to point B. Simple on paper, but nothing in this game is ever just simple. That core gameplay loop still sits at the heart of Death Stranding 2, but it's now surrounded by a ton of improvements, refinements, and quality of life upgrades that make the journey feel smoother, more engaging, and more dynamic. A lot of the foundational features from Death Stranding 1 are back, but they feel better across the board. Movement is smoother, controls are more responsive, and your general mobility has been vastly improved. Whether you're scaling mountains or hauling across flat terrain, Sam just moves better this time. One of the standout changes is the improved map interface. Now when planning a route, the bottom corner of the screen gives a little quick summary of your walk, showing you how difficult the terrain is and where you'll encounter challenges. It's a small change that has a big impact on how you prepare and approach missions. The UI also got a solid upgrade. I really like how clean and intuitive most of it feels now. That said, I do have a few minor complaints, mainly with the snappiness and responsiveness of certain menu elements. It's not a deal breaker, but there's still some room for polish. One of the biggest features in this game is something called the Corpus. The Corpus acts as your all-in-one encyclopedia for everything Death Stranding. Can't remember who that character was from the last game? The Corpus has you covered. Need a recap of the story so far? It's right at your fingertips. Curious about a specific term or concept? Just look it up in the Corpus. Packed with lore and background details, it's an incredible tool for both newcomers and returning players to stay informed and immersed in the world of Death Stranding. One welcome addition is the inclusion of dialogue choices when interacting with station users. This gives you a better sense of what's going on in each area and adds more personality and context to the people you are connecting. It's not groundbreaking, but it adds to the immersion and makes your deliveries feel more human. Then there's this new fast travel system via your ship. This was a surprising addition and a welcome one. You can now warp between major areas, which cuts down on the long haul treks when needed. However, there's a catch. If you fast travel with a delivery package, you'll earn fewer points. Does that deter players? Honestly, no. It didn't stop me, and I doubt it'll stop most people. It's a trade-off between convenience and reward, and I'm all for giving players the choice. Making the game more accessible means more people can enjoy it, and that's always a good thing. Beyond that, there are cargo rails, another form of travel that opens up as you progress. They are incredibly fun to use, especially once you unlock the ability to build them. There's no way to skip the cinematic that plays during each ride, but honestly, it's such a vibe that I didn't mind. It feels like a little reward for the effort you put into setting up your infrastructure. Sometimes, it's the little things that matter the most. A perfect example, the toilet and shower are now combined into a single button press. Simple, efficient, and exactly the kind of upgrade you didn't know you needed. Another huge new system is Sam's passive upgrade tree. You earn points from completing missions, especially when you earn stars with specific delivery receivers. These points unlock a wide array of passives that enhance your gameplay and give you more control over your playstyle. Some of these perks are straight up game changers, like instant cargo binding. This prevents cargo from scattering when Sam falls. There's battery efficiency boost, which reduces the battery drain on vehicles. And last but not least, my favorite, sharing boost, which increases how many player-created objects can be shared across the chiral network. I personally love this one. It amplifies that sense of community and cooperation that the series thrives on. The upgrade tree lets you mold your version of Sam however you see fit, whether that's optimizing for stealth, speed, durability, or social play. It's one of my favorite new systems, and I highly recommend checking back often to see what you can unlock. One of the biggest shifts in Death Stranding 2 is its increased emphasis on combat. Unlike the first game, this one frequently throws mandatory combat missions your way, and honestly, I loved it. These sections feel like a natural evolution of Kojima's design philosophy, blending the soul of Metal Gear with the DNA of Death Stranding. The enemy AI is sharper, the animations are fluid, and there are countless ways to approach each encounter. Whether you are going in loud with a full arsenal, or sneaking through with a silent sniper, the game gives you the tools and freedom to adapt. At first I was running and gunning, taking on every threat head on, but the moment I unlocked Silent Sniper Rifle, my entire strategy shifted. Clearing out enemy camps without being spotted became my new obsession. It made me appreciate how much flexibility the game offers, and how much fun it is to experiment. But not everything is perfect. One issue I had with the first game that still hasn't been fixed is weapon switching during boss fights. I can't count how many times I accidentally holstered my weapon in the middle of a fight. Whether it's muscle memory or just bad button mapping, it's frustrating. Especially in high pressure moments. The controller layout still isn't as intuitive as it should be, and I really hope this gets addressed in a future update. Overall, the gameplay improvements in Death Stranding 2 make it a richer, more immersive, and more flexible experience. The additions feel thoughtful, and the quality of life changes show that the team listened to feedback. While some legacy issues remain and a few areas still feel a bit clunky, the overall gameplay package is stronger than ever and a joy to play. Whether you're in it for the traversal, the world building, or the stealthy Metal Gear like combat, there's something here for you to fall in love with. In the end, Death Stranding 2 is a game that knows exactly what it is and embraces that fully. It's not here to convert those who bounced off the first entry. Instead, it doubles down on the core ideas: slow, deliberate gameplay, emotional storytelling, and a world that feels both isolating and strangely hopeful. It's bigger, more refined, and more ambitious than its predecessor, with a much broader set of tools and gameplay systems that reward planning and persistence. While the early story beats feel a bit too familiar and some missions lack urgency, the overall experience is still powerful. The new characters, expanded world, and deeper systems offer plenty for returning players to dive into. Even with its flaws, Death Stranding 2 remains a unique and memorable journey. It may not be for everyone, but for those willing to embrace its pace and philosophy, it's absolutely worth the trip. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. Remember to leave a like, comment, subscribe. I really do appreciate all of you guys. Anyways, I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful day. Bye now.